Want to see something weird? Here's Mount Fuji. Here's Exceed 4000. You might be asking, what's that? Well, we're like 10 seconds in. Like, give me a minute. Exceed 4000 is a proposed superstructure. That is to say, it's obviously not built, because you know there would be so many Nepo babies making rich talks from its penthouse, at least until a particularly small one gets talon jacked by a Rupel's vulture. But if it was being built, it'd be in the largest metropolitan area in the world, Tokyo, the home of drift, which you probably should have already guessed because I already mentioned Mount Fuji. I don't know what's this aggressive energy I have today. I don't know, I'm sorry. Now, there's a particularly pressing question when it comes to Exceed 4000. That being, what? So, before I answer that, I'm gonna run down some stats. Firstly, it's called the Exceed 4000 because it exceeds 4,000 meters in height, or 2.5 miles. Wait, no, it actually is 4,000 meters. Why wouldn't they make it 4,001 meters so the name makes sense? It's a little annoying, but okay. I'm being the superstructure critic today, and this one does not get the badass seal of approval. Okay, more stats though, more stats. It would be 800 stories tall, meaning, quote, you could practically read a book cover to cover on the elevator ride to the Exceed's penthouse. That's from this Bloomberg article. So, with your typical skyscraper, you just have to worry about shit like, compensating for wind and American foreign policy. And in fact, did you know that normal skyscrapers are designed to sway a little bit if they're tall enough? Because it's better to sway in the wind than collapse entirely. In contrast, the Exceed 4000 would actually have to worry about air pressure. It would be so massive that they'd have to account for variables that you'd normally only have to worry about for like airplane design. So that could present issues. Another thing that could present issues is the fact that it's on the Pacific Ring of Fire. It's one of the largest hotspots for natural disasters. Tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanoes. And you want to put that thing there? Okay. Well, actually, no, they don't. As you may have guessed, not only is Exceed 4000 just one of the most bonkers building ideas of all time, it was actually conceived to remain just that forever, just an idea. It was essentially drawn up to, quote, earn some recognition for the firm, and it worked. That firm being Taisei Corporation. And it clearly didn't hurt because, they're still kicking. I could go down a list of their accomplishments, but that would just be kind of boring because it's mainly like utilitarian shit like bridges and hotels or whatever. Just normal stuff. That's not what this channel's about. Here's a huge as fuck pyramid. And also this one's real. I'm not kidding. They really do plan on making this one. While Exceed 4000 was always intended to only be a fun thing to draw up and just be like, yo, we make buildings that are kind of like this, but not really. Meanwhile, this thing, the Shimizu Tri-2004 Pyramid City, is indeed actually intended to eventually exist in the real world and not just as a world wonder in Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. Hi, I'm recording this after the fact. I just realized that at no point did I mention these are made by two completely different companies. The first one was the Taisei Corporation. This one is the Shimizu Corporation. Thank you. Does it exist? I mean, take a guess. Will it exist? I'm gonna say no, but who knows? When will Shimizu Tri-2004 Pyramid City exist? Now this thing, as you could probably guess, isn't nearly as big as Exceed 4000, clocking in at about half of Exceed 4000's proposed height of 4,000 meters. That isn't to say it's not still insanely huge. In fact, it'd be the largest man-made structure in history. If you're thinking, hey, this looks like that big weird pyramid thing that the Tyrell Corporation from Blade Runner is headquartered in, that's because, and I can't find a completely reliable source for this, so take it with a grain of salt, but I do buy that it's plausible. That building from Blade Runner was apparently the direct inspiration for the building. As in, one random person who was a Shimizu Corporation engineer saw Blade Runner, the movie, in 1982 and was like, holy shit, we should do that. What's even funnier is that this anonymous employee's bosses were like, yeah, we agree. We should do that. And by 1992, they completed the design and successfully copyrighted it. The design specifications for this thing from the Shimizu website are pretty cool, honestly. The whole thing is made up of these octahedral units, which are essentially two pyramids joined together at the bottom, with every side measured at 350 meters in length. They'd be combined with one another at the joints and would actually be designed to withstand wind pressure and even tsunamis, which would be necessary because it would literally be floating in the actual Tokyo Bay. There would be vibration controls in quote-unquote optimal points, which would reduce vibration and alleviate the pressure of gravity in real time depending on external forces. I don't want to brush past that 350 meter figure for each side of these octahedrons though, because 350 meters is huge. It's enough to hold a 100-story building in each octahedron. What also is a little charming to me is that one outline benefit of this is that residents will still get sunlight, so they won't be like depressed as fuck in the big pyramid. Now those edges of the octahedron, they would serve several purposes, including communication networks, I assume like just wires or whatever, plumbing, electrical networks, a distribution network, which I assume is for transporting supplies, like just put a sandwich in there. To get around the actual structure, you'd use elevators, and to get from an octahedron to a suspended building, by the way, they would be suspended by huge tubes, you'd use moving walkways, escalators, or corridors. What's kind of killing me about this is that they set all this up like, okay, we're gonna make the biggest building ever, we're gonna put it in the bay, and inside we're just gonna have like normal office buildings. You can have 1 million people in it. We're gonna use it for normal buildings. Look at my triangle. I mean, okay, there's some logic to it, right? Pyramids are historically the most durable structures we've built as a species. However, when you start including shit like 100-story skyscrapers suspended inside each little segment that makes up the pyramid, you start to run into a few, shall we say, obstacles. For one thing, what happens if just one of those octahedrons fails? You'd need a really robust system of rerouting elevators, plumbing, electricity, cargo, all of that, since all of those functions would be contained within each octahedron. That would be a pretty likely scenario considering it would be located in the Pacific Ring of Fire. I can't stress this enough. I know they said, oh, it's gonna be tsunami proof, it's gonna be earthquake proof, but how? Speaking of how, and here's the main issue. The materials for this, based on our current science, do not exist. They can't be.
We made this one up. It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication.
It's not possible. By the time materials like that would be invented that could withstand the forces of gravity and tsunamis and suspend a 100-story skyscraper inside an octahedron without any risk of it just all falling apart, why would this be the best way to use those materials? I feel like we're probably gonna come up with better uses for such insane materials than a big stupid triangle that would only house, by the way, 1 million people out of, and let me just look this up real quick, 37 million people in the Tokyo metropolitan area. What would be the point? What issue is this addressing? If it's not overpopulation, what's the point of making the big triangle? Okay, I will say, it does look pretty neat. If this was in like a science fiction thing, I would like it. Okay, I guess it actually was. I did like Blade Runner. So hey, it's stupid, which I also appreciate because someone decided to do this. And it seems that the Shimizu Corporation has indeed realized that this is just not gonna happen. I was only able to actually read these specifications off of the Internet Wayback Machine since they've taken this stuff off of their present day website. You know what's not off the Shimizu Corporation website? These projects. The Desert Aquanet. You know how water is in the ocean? Well, we're gonna move it to the desert and you're gonna live there. We're gonna put a 18-mile diameter lake in the middle of a desert. We're gonna put several of them actually. We're gonna connect them by canals for farming shit. It's gonna be livable and we're gonna usher in a new age of prosperity. What about the country that the desert exists in? I mean, we don't have to worry about that. Desert needs water. All you need. Just so much water that you could drink from the ocean. Salt water. Green Float, the environmental island. They seem to have this fixation on floating stuff. I mean, I guess that's one way to feel better about rising sea levels and shit. And it's like, if a city was a plant, this should help with climate change. I'll be honest, I kind of like how this looks, like literally just the design of it. In practice, it would be a colony of rich people farming in the ocean while every poor sap on land has to deal with the full effects of climate change. Sorry, I made myself mad. Ocean Spiral. You've got this big blue ball at the top of it. That's your city. You've got your super ballast ball. And then you have your longest fuck spiral that goes down to the sea floor where there's a big factory there and you're gonna mine shit. We're gonna reuse CO2 and we're gonna have a submarine port. It's unclear why it's a spiral. Luna ring. Solar power generation on the moon. Solar panels on the entire circumference of the moon. And we're gonna turn that power into a microwave laser beam and transmit it back to Earth. Fuck you. Fuck you. Solar panel moon. Fuck you. Okay. There's more, but it's like space hotels, whatever, nothing special. Lunar bases, okay, fine, whatever. I don't know. I'm gonna go play, what have I been playing? Old World? Have you guys heard of this? It's like Civ, but it has individual characters that have motivations in their own dynasties and shit, which is like Crusader Kings. Even though it tended to drag on and I got too powerful as time went on, so it got boring like it can in Civ. Just a lot of 4X games have that. It's still a pretty interesting and well-executed twist on the Civ formula. It's pretty fun. That's the end of the video.